Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session. So we give a kind of an easy title to that, Hyperledger Iroha, Fast Path to DLT. My name is Zivkovic. I work for Soramitsu. I'm a CTO. Soramitsu initially developed Iroha, open sourced it. It was adopted by Hyperledger. And we are very proud that a week ago, it reached the 1.0, which means it's a production-ready platform that you can use in different use cases. So a few things about Soramitsu. Soramitsu is a Japanese blockchain company located in Tokyo with 50 plus employees. We have different locations worldwide. Also in Innopolis, we have someone in New York, office in Switzerland, in Zug, also Monaco, Cambodia, and we are planning to open an office also in Nur-Sultan, Kazakhstan. Before that was Astana. So as I said, we are a creator of Hyperledger Iroha. Now we are maintaining it. So we also invite everyone to participate in that, join the task force, and help us build the community further together with the Hyperledger. We also created a payment system. I will talk a little bit more about that later on for the National Bank of Cambodia using Iroha. And we are also a proud member of the Japan Blockchain Association. So what are the key domains that we are working on? It's digital currency, digital asset management, exchange and settlement, and digital identity. So using any formal document in a digital form, using a zero-knowledge proof and verifiable claims to exchange the information. Last year, we also won a Visa Audience Favorite Award for one of the ideas in the payment system. So about Hyperledger Iroha, it's, as Vipin said before, thank you, Vipin, for also promoting Iroha during the URSA presentation. It's one of the platforms available under the Hyperledger umbrella. And it's simple, it's fast, it's easy to use, it's easy to start. So that's why also a title, a simple way to a DLT. So if you want to start your own project, I will try to show you today how we are doing this. So I will show you, I will talk about few use cases, and then maybe walk you through how you can do this on your own. As mentioned before, we are mobile focused, but not only mobile. So you can use, we have our applications on iOS and on Android, obviously. So we are providing SDKs for those platforms. And you can also easily do asset management. So what we don't have in Iroha, so what you will not see in Hyperledger Iroha for now are smart contracts. So this is one way of simplifying it. Or you can, so we have commands. We have 16 predefined commands. So you can think about those commands also as predefined smart contracts if you want. And this is one way how you will simplify your work with the blockchain platform. Then we have also 11 queries that we are supporting. And we are focusing on the use cases that I mentioned before. So if you find yourself in this domain, choosing Iroha should be an easy way to develop those use cases in your company as well. So it's kind of a modular as well. So if you have a task force, you can also change some things on your own. If you don't, you can use whatever you get out of the box. We have a unique consensus algorithm that was developed. It's called YAC, yet another consensus, which is a BFT class consensus algorithm that is used inside Iroha. Iroha is written in C++, so that's why it has a potential to be faster. It also has a potential to be used in, let's say, smaller devices, maybe also paired with the IoT use cases. We didn't really try this out yet, but if you are in this domain, you might try Iroha and see if it works for you. So how this looks, so we have as I said before, we have a set of commands. We have assets that you create on the blockchain, and then we have permissions, which are very common in the enterprise use cases. So you need also the permission model to mimic what is happening on the enterprise level. So with all those things, you create a domain, you create an account, and you assign permissions to that account. And then you can use these 16 commands that you see here. So like add peer, create domain, create asset, and to transfer asset, for example, to develop or deploy your use case onto the blockchain. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to use. It's pretty easy to start. You don't have to write any code. You don't have to worry about whether this code is correct or not. You can just pick the right commands and start using it. So we have a decentralized permission model. As I said, it's very easy to mimic the situation in the typical corporate environment. So you can easily separate different roles like legislative, jurisdictional, and executive role and assign different permissions. And those permissions would limit the commands that you can use on a DLT. So you can see that the permission model is at the DLT level. It's not, as in some other cases, at the client level, where you have to manage the permissions at the client level. You can, in our case, if you use Hyperledger Iroha, you can manage this at the DLT level, which has several advantages. I will not go in a deep comparison of different platforms, but you can see on the slide, I mentioned this during the talk, what are the key differences between different platforms. What I would like to say here is that we see a lot of companies are jumping into the conclusion which platform to use based on the available information. I would really suggest that you, during your POC, try different platforms and see which platform works best for your use case in terms of parameters that are important for you. Let's say transaction finality, number of transactions that you can process, maybe the time that you developed a certain solution. So where the Hyperledger Iroha is used, so I will talk about three projects briefly. One is D3, which is Decentralized Digital Depository, about the Sora, which is a decentralized economic system, and the KYC solution that is digital identity and information exchange platform. D3 is meant for institutional investors to be able to invest in crypto, but also for companies that are dealing with the digital assets to be able to manage the assets. So we are using Hyperledger Iroha underneath as a blockchain platform, and then we have some off-chain logic because Hyperledger Iroha also has a multi-signature capability, and with the multi-signature capability, you can mimic the parts that you need in the smart contract together with the off-chain logic to support what you need in the project like this. It's a next generation post-trade infrastructure that is designed for any financial institution that wants to create and manage digital assets. A second project is Sora. It's an implementation of a new economic system that is based on the democratization, empowerment, and collaboration of people. Again, we are using Hyperledger Iroha underneath that, and based on this, we are building a new economy that will enable users, empower users, and enable a different economic model to be implemented on top of it. So this is how it looks. So we have a Sora economy. On top of that, we have different projects, and then we have users that can vote on projects. Everything is built on Hyperledger Iroha, so you have all the voting that is happening on the ledger, and then you also have financial transactions that are also based on the blockchain platform, in this case, Hyperledger Iroha. And the last project that I want to mention today is a digital identity project, again, sitting on Hyperledger Iroha. It supports a simple onboarding process for customers. So what we have is cryptographic proofs that are on-chain, and then you have information which is on the mobile app with the user and using the blockchain platform to store the approvals for the documents, and you can exchange this between different parties using a zero-knowledge proof concepts. Those are the key features that are supported. As you can see, with the platform like Hyperledger Iroha, you can easily implement such use cases with the simple set of features and have a product that is ready for production. So now I will go a little bit away from Hyperledger Iroha and just in general talk about how to start with the blockchain. So first you will define your problem probably, and then you will try to see whether you need a blockchain or not. We see a lot of discussion on that, whether we need a blockchain for a certain project or not. And we also see sometimes management forcing the use of the blockchain because now it's a hype and they want to use a blockchain to be, on top of the hype at the moment. But in reality, you see that maybe blockchain is not required. Once you know that you need a blockchain, you need to select the platform, right? This is what I was talking about before. And we see quite a few companies jumping to the first platform that they find on the market, not really exploring and giving the chance to different platforms to prove themselves to be better or worse compared to other platforms. So that would be the first step that I would recommend. Then you do a POC. We did a number of POCs, as I showed you before, and then these POCs usually grow to the production level systems. You analyze the results and make an informed decision how to proceed and how to go to the production. So intentionally now I will show you a POC that was not maybe appropriate for a blockchain. So somebody approached us saying that they want to do a verification of the documents on blockchain. So what we did, as I showed you in the previous step, we kind of designed the domain. So we built kind of a map, the concepts to the Hyperledger Iroha, and then came up with the proof of concept. In this case, it was about the archive system to use to put documents on the blockchain to see whether the document is authentic. We said, okay, if you wanna, if you wanna try this, let's see. But then at the end, so this was the document verification phase, partial disclosure of documents, and then at the end of the POC, we realized that this phase is actually the only phase that makes sense for using the solution like Hyperledger Iroha or blockchain to have some benefits over the centralized solution that you can build and use without the blockchain. Why? Because you can, as you can see, you can separate the information from the contract, and then you can disclose using the blockchain with different parties participating, only the information that is required for a certain party. So this is how this would look then on kind of a high-level architectural picture, and then you discuss this with the client. So this was one way to decide whether blockchain is needed or not. We have experience with different other proof of concepts where we realized that the blockchain is actually beneficial and it should be used, and it is used today, as I showed you before. 3 use cases. One was D3, one was Sora, and one was identity solution. I also mentioned at the beginning that we have a payment system for the central bank in Cambodia. So the penetration of the banking system in the country was very low. So they decided, so cash was used a lot, so the central bank decided to build a system to facilitate the payments, the usage of the payments, and they went from zero to blockchain immediately. That makes a lot of sense to them, maybe not so much in some other countries. Any questions at that point? Sorry? Cambodia. Central bank in Cambodia. It's very interesting use case because we see that the central bank is actually implementing a retail payment system, which is not so usual in other countries. Because usually what you see is they would have a settlement system for the banks, and then the commercial banks would provide a retail payment system to the end users. In this case, they are providing, but then they are partnering with the banks. So we have more than 30 banks signed up for that, and they are providing a white-labeled mobile app to the banks to use the system. Any other questions?
Is that a market that other countries could use?
Sure. So we are looking on some markets that have a low penetration of the let's say digital payment systems. So people are using mostly cash, or they are not using anything. They are really unbanked, and yeah, they could easily use the system. Okay, we still have a few minutes, but if there are any questions, just out of curiosity, anyone using Hyperledger Iroha? Okay, I see some hands. So I would really encourage you to try. There is a community, so if you run in any problems, you can reach out to the community or to me directly. We will do our best to support you. But as I tried to show you today, it's really easy to start. You can be up and running with a Docker container basically in minutes. And then, of course, go through the documentation and model your use case, put your use case to the Hyperledger Iroha and see how it runs, do some benchmarking and see what happens. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.